Hi, welcome back to Not So Obvious Watches. I'm Pete McConville. There's been a lot of watch YouTube stuff on, so much that I haven't wanted to sit in front of my computer or watch it all on the phone. So I've been sitting in the living room on the nice comfy couch watching it on the nice big television. My daughter came down and was sitting watching some of it with me. She normally finds it really boring, but the Watches and Wonder stuff she kind of enjoyed. Anyway, she asked about a brand, how did it fit, where did it go, and I compared it to a band to say this brand is a bit like this band. We kept riffing on that, having a bit of fun, and I thought, you know what, that'd be a kind of cool video to do. Hence, here we are. Very short, very sharp, just a bit of fun. What if our brands were bands? A couple of things before we get into this. It is fun. People, there's going to be musical acts and celebrities, because I sometimes went outside of bands, that you love that I hate. There's going to be stuff that I hate that you love. That's fine. That's the nature of music. And watches, probably. So two, a lot of the musical acts and celebrities aren't necessarily ones I'm big fans of, but if I just related everything to post-punk, Aussie, folk and rock music, the audience for this video would be very narrow. So I've actually expanded a lot of the to mainstream musical stuff. So not necessarily my tastes coming through here. However, very definitely my view of music as a white, middle-aged, middle-class Western English speaker definitely comes through. If you guys want to make it more contemporary, or you guys want to add some sort of different cultural and geographical views, go for your life. We'll do that in the comments below. But, you know, I can only do what I know. So with all of that said, let's get into if our brands were bands. Okay, let's have some fun with a quick fire video on if brands were bands. We'll start with the big one, Rolex. I reckon this is AC/DC. For the first half of their career, just another blues-inspired rock band out of little old Australia, but then found the secret sauce, nailed it with that one classic album, Back in Black, and have spent the next 4 decades just milking slight variations of that, making bank and living large. Okay, that brings us immediately to Omega, and I would say here the Rolling Stones. One of the early giants with an enormous back catalogue and much beloved, had 4 members, but let's be honest, we really only care about 2. Now let's talk about Gerald Genter. In any band he was in, any company he worked for, or when he was just working for himself. I'm going to go here with the Beatles, the single most covered band in history. Cartier. I think this is Taylor Swift. At her worst, light and fluffy and pretty disposable, but every now and then capable of some really interesting sounds and some really interesting work. But no matter what she's doing, she's always really pretty. Okay, that brings me to Patek Philippe, and I'm going to go with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. One of the greatest players of music in the world, is capable of anything, best known for its 1980s hooked on classics, pop orchestral remake of pop classics. Longines. I'm going to go here with Coldplay. Some of their early stuff was groundbreaking. Parachutes and Yellow are some of the great songs of all time. These days, no one cares about their new stuff. We only want to hear the old stuff again. Tag Heuer. I'm going to go here with U2. Once great, once revolutionary, once could fill stadiums. Now, kind of embarrassing and something we admit to being into a long time ago. Breitling. I'm going to go Phil Collins. Was great. Part of a fantastic band. Did a lot of fantastic work. Then basically stopped showering and had all his hair fall out. Then suddenly, apparently out of nowhere, started writing soundtracks and became super cool again. And the YouTube is full of people doing reaction videos to In the Air Tonight. Hublot. For me, this is an easy one. Nickelback. universally despised. No one likes them, and yet they make money hand over fist. JLC, the Velvet Underground. There's a story about the Velvet Underground. Might be true, probably isn't. The story goes, not many people actually ever saw them. Not many people bought any of their albums, but everyone who did started a band. The Velvet Underground was kind of like the rock musicians, just like JLC are the watchmaker's watchmaker. Gerard Perregaux. I'm going to go here with Kanye West. Once one of the greats, could have been absolutely anything. Started drinking his own bathwater, got a bit of a god complex, and kind of ended up being overshadowed by the slightly weird woman that he shacked up with. Which brings me to Ulysse Nardin, who is Kim Kardashian. Famous to many because she was involved in a sex tape, then became famous for a lot of trash that no one really likes admitting to. But when you pay really close attention, you can see she actually does some really complex and interesting stuff. Okay, Audemars Piguet. This is definitely Lou Reed. Lou Reed, both as a solo performer and as a member of the Velvet Underground, one of the single most influential musicians in history. And yet, despite all that, only made the singles charts once with one solo song, Walk on the Wild Side, if you're interested. Okay, Frank Mueller. I'm going to go here with Limp Bizkit. We thought Limp Bizkit was going to be huge, and they were for one and a bit songs. After that, we all just kind of got tired. Most people now think it's a bit of a joke, but some people actually get really angry about it. Okay, FP Journe. This was a toughie, but I'm going to go with David Bowie. Defined a culture, created a scene, has such a unique style, is always stylish, but at the same time is endlessly evolving and changing. And finally, I'm going to go Vacheron Constantin. This for me is George Harrison. Forever in the shadow of the two bigger names in his little club, but with a surprising number of really great hits to his own name. And secretly, let's be honest, probably the most likable of the big three as well. So that was it. That was my fun take. You'll notice there's a whole bunch of brands missing. I really struggled with IWC and Panerai and a few other odds and sods. And secondly, so if you've got ideas for them and who would represent them, stick them in the comments below. That'd be great. As I said on the intro coming in, my view is very much positioned by who I am and my history and where I come from and all that sort of stuff. If you want to sort of put alternatives in, which are more contemporary or reflect where you're from, go for your life. It'd be fun to kind of build this up. The other thing is too, if you fundamentally disagree, if you see a brand or a band very differently, I'd be really curious to know how that works. It could be fun to, as I say, sort of build a library of this. I've been Pete McConville. This has been Not So Obvious Watches, and I'll see you later. Bye.